So hello guys, we're back for another video. Today I'm with an Arsenal fan and we're making the perfect Arsenal transfer window. So I hope Kamil is ready to give me the best transfer suggestion for next season.
Yes, sir. You know me. I got all the best picks, man.
Okay, so let's dive into it. Alright, so how it will go. So we have like categories here. We'll class the 15 transfer rumors I've seen on Twitter. With an Arsenal fan, Kamil will help us to choose which is the right category. So are you ready, Kamil?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Let's go. So from I've seen is Leroy Sané, Arsenal. What do you think about this move?
A winger is interesting because we do lack a bit of attacking depth in our team. But honestly, with his performance and his lack of consistency, I don't think he's the perfect signing. It could be interesting to add a bit of depth in the team, but in my opinion, it would be an okay signing.
Yeah.
It would be something to shock the world or to
Yeah.
make us win the Premier League for sure.
And the thing is that he's almost 30 now, no? He's like 28. So for you, it would be an okay signing. But also, what do you think about his age? Because he's almost 30, I think, Leroy Sané.
He's kind of old, but our team is a very young team in general. Like, we have one of the youngest teams in the league. So maybe adding a bit of seniority, a bit of experience to the team could help. That's why I think it's an okay move. Maybe not a meh or hell no. That's not for sure. He's not that bad, that's for sure. So I would put him in okay for that.
Okay. I agree. I think Leroy Sané is not the player that will make you win the league right now. And he was one of my favorite players back then when he was playing at City. But right now, I don't like his playing style. Like I feel that he's too egoistic in how he plays. You know, he always plays for himself. Like I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know. But I think his profile would be interesting to see in Arsenal, especially on the left wing.
Yeah.
Should be an okay signing for me. Next player is Ryan Cherki. What do you think about this move?
All I have to say, baller. First thing I have to say, this guy, the past couple months now, he has been on a tear, bro, beating all these teams. Just recently lost to Man United. I couldn't believe it. But honestly, I would love to see him at Arsenal. The potential he has is mental to me. I find he could be top 5 players in the Premier League if he joins and goes on a good route. What do you think?
Talent-wise, he's one of the best players I've ever seen. Also, like since I watch football. And this is the type of player you pay to go watch, you know?
Yeah,
like
sure.
He gives me like
It's
that.
bringing back that like fun to football too. It's been a lot of times where we see all these like robotic wingers and all this systematic play. He's one of the guys that's just incredible to watch.
But the thing is that where would you play him?
See, yeah, that's tricky. He could fit as a winger, but honestly, if I would bring him into Arsenal, it would be to play 10. It's sad to say, but Odegaard is the weakest player on the Arsenal team.
Yeah.
I think my captain, but I think he is the part of the team that like lacks a bit of strength. So maybe Ryan Cherki could add a bit of fun to the 10 spot.
Yeah, and I think he could compete for that 10 spot. But the thing is that I feel that he has almost the same, not playing style, but he plays in the same zones as Martin Odegaard, but also as Ethan Nwaneri. And for me, I rate Ethan Nwaneri. Even Max Donman, who's coming from the academy, big prospect from Arsenal. So for me, I don't think it should be a priority signing for Arsenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a chance to buy Cherki,
why not? I think it's the same kind of level as Sané.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less useful because it's like a big gamble basically. If it doesn't work, it would be just a lot of money wasted because he's still going to be quite expensive with all of his talent.
Also, especially price-wise, I've seen a fee around 25 million. That's nothing for a player like Ryan Cherki. Yeah, 25 million for a player like Ryan Cherki is nothing in today's market. So for me, it's an okay signing, and even more exciting than Leroy Sané. What about Alexander Isak?
Oh my god, the best striker in the world in my opinion. I think maybe debating with Mbappe, we'll see, but in my opinion he's better. At this stage, this way he's playing, the consistency, the finishing, the runs he makes, the way he just takes all these best teams in the league, all these best defenders and just throws them in the garbage like his trademark Selly, you know, pointing backwards. I couldn't believe it.
Is cold.
He's the perfect signing for me. I think he is the perfect signing.
Do you think it's realistic? Because I think Newcastle won't sell him.
It's hard to say, but Stick. The Deja won the price. Arsenal have always been kind of stingy, not really trying to spend. Even now, being told that they can spend as much as they want, building up a lot of bank. But even with that, a lot of other clubs competing for him. I think maybe he'll either stay or go maybe to Liverpool. I've
Yeah.
heard, but I don't think he'll come to
I
Arsenal.
would love Alexander Isak in Liverpool. Honestly, he's one of my favorite Premier League players. Also, he's good at everything. He's good at everything. He's one of the players I've seen, uh, like playing well against Van Dijk. Not many players play well against Van Dijk. He's really good. But what do you think? Is he a perfect signing or would be in a mess?
I I think he's the perfect signing.
I
In
think,
in an unrealistic world where he could just sign to Arsenal, I'm taking him no matter what.
but I think Arsenal would also convince him. Let's say Arsenal win the Champions League,
Yeah,
and they can win the Champions League. We've seen how Barca played
100% we
today.
will win the Champions League.
You saw how Barca played today. So if they beat PSV,
Yeah.
like
A lot
Barcelona,
of very high
would be,
chances.
there will be a chance. And I think Newcastle would sell him if Alexander Isak wants to leave.
Especially if Newcastle don't make Champions League
Don't make
spots,
Champions
that
League.
would be very interesting to
So
see.
yeah, I think it will be a perfect signing,
Wow.
especially that Arsenal need a striker.
Yeah.
Another striker I've seen them linked to is Benjamin
Sesko.
Sesko. What do you think of this guy?
At first, before we weren't in talks with Gyökeres and talk with Isak, these strikers, I thought Sesko was the perfect signing. His heading ability,
Mhm.
his finishing, his runs, his height, I mean, was the perfect combination for a striker. Because with our play with Arsenal, we like to cross the ball a lot of header goals we see from Marino, we see from all these strikers in the build-up. His one-touch finishing was amazing, and when I would see his highlights, I was sold. He was the perfect signing.
I think he's one of the best upcoming strikers also in his age. And I think he might be ready for a big move. He's been like in Leipzig for like 3 seasons. I think he's ready to go to a big club, but I don't, you know, I think Arsenal need a confirmed strike. I think they need someone
Bit
who's
more
ready.
experience. Premier League
Experience.
proven too.
Someone who we know that he's ready to come in and compete for the golden boot.
Yeah, that's always the questionable thing about these strikers that don't play in the Premier League already. They're not really Premier League proven, like what a lot of people say. So it's hard to say will they keep that same form once they come to the Premier League.
Exactly. So for me, would be
I think it would be a smart.
a smart move too, especially if in terms of price you pay him around 60-70 million. For me, that's not expensive for one of the best upcoming strikers, and especially in the striker position, like there's no many good options out there. So I think it would be a smart move. Sesko. What about Arda Güler?
Wow, very good upcoming talent at Real Madrid. I was so fascinated watching him one at the Euros at Real Madrid. I love his play style. I love the way he plays. He brings a lot to Real Madrid, and I feel he's being underused at Real Madrid. I feel like he could definitely prosper by coming to Arsenal. I feel like it's not the perfect signing like an Isak or maybe even a Gyökeres or something like that, but I think it would be an okay move. I wouldn't even put it smart move because of that conflict of the positions. Like you say, we'd have to compete maybe with Odegaard for the 10, or even he likes to play on the right side with Saka and Nwaneri. It adds a lot of competition to him.
Yeah, for me it's even hell now because I see him playing on the wing,
Mm.
right wing, especially. I don't see him playing on the left.
Yeah.
So there is Saka who's there, and I think Saka will stay as long as possible at Arsenal. I don't see him leaving. And in that 10 role, I don't think it's his best position. And there's already
It would-
Odegaard, there's Ethan Nwaneri, I think, who's
We would take a lot of chance on a
Ex-
young guy like him trying to play him at 10. It would-
exactly. And I think if he leaves Madrid, if Madrid let him leave, it will be to play in a team that he'll play
For sure.
regular. If you sell Odegaard and then you wanna go for other, that would be realistic. But I don't see Arsenal also selling Odegaard in the transfer window. So for me, it would be
Yeah, it's a pretty bottom
yeah.
team.
And if you have
Don't
to go
think it would happen.
for a 10 or a right winger, you'll go for Cherki.
For sure.
You'll go for Ryan Cherki, especially for the price.
Price too.
What about Dean Huysen?
Wow, he's been proving himself to be quite the center back. Very, very interesting. I think Arsenal's defense is quite good, even with the guys like Kivior coming off the bench. And really, he had a lot of doubt
Yeah,
from a lot of people, but he came and he
he
proved
impressed me.
himself.
He
And he
impressed me.
proved it.
Yeah.
And really, I find that our defense is very solid. Maybe with injuries, Gabriel here and there, Saliba here and there, would be cool to bring another guy like this, train him that way, could start bringing into rotation and whatnot. But I don't think it's the necessity right now. I don't think a center back is what we need.
I don't think also you need a center back, especially a player like Dean Huysen who will want to have game time.
For sure.
You have also Ricardo Carafiori, who's a center back also. So I don't think would be smart, even if it's not a lot, because it's 50 million for one of the best upcoming center backs also. But I don't think would be the right move for Arsenal. There is no need.
You should go to Real Madrid or something like that.
Yeah.
They need the
Yeah,
defense.
or Liverpool. I mean, if he wants to come to Liverpool, I would say it would be a good move. So
Yeah, but for Arsenal, not the right
it
move.
would be. I'll put in Meh.
Meh.
Meh, yeah.
That's a good move.
What about Xavi Simons, one of the best players in the Bundesliga, honestly?
I find a hot take for me, but I don't like him. I just don't like Xavi Simons that much. I've seen him play. I've even seen him in real life. I went to go watch the Netherlands play. I just don't like him. He's good. Like I can't say he's not good, but I personally don't like his style of play. I wouldn't like him at
You
Arsenal.
know, that's why I brought you to make this video, bro, because I have the same feeling about
Wow.
Xavi Simons. Also, I'm not convinced. I don't know why I'm not convinced about him. Also, paying 80 million for him. I don't even know his best position. Don't know if he's more of a 10, if he's a more of a left wing. And for that price, again,
Way too much of a gamble.
there is many players that will go for less than that. So 80 million for a attacking midfielder,
Hell no.
for me, that's a hell no.
Yeah.
For Chelsea. What about Jorel Hato? Do you know him?
I have no idea who is Jordan Hato.
He's left back he plays for Ajax,
Hmm.
and he plays also for the Netherlands team.
Oh wow.
But he can also play as a center back. He's being linked with a move at Arsenal, also at Liverpool. He's being linked with big clubs. He's been one of the best left backs in the Eredivisie.
Hmm.
But again, there's no need.
Defender.
You
I
have
don't-
Miles.
I don't. Yeah, Miles Lewis Skelly. Wow, let's not get into him. Best left back in the world, in my opinion. But as you said, I don't really know him that much. I haven't seen him play.
Mhm.
But a defender, I don't think is the right signing for Arsenal.
Again, we don't have many perfect signings yet. No?
No.
What about Brian Mbeumo?
He's
familiar
very
with him.
good. I
Mhm.
love the guy. I have him in FPL and everything. I love him. His output, his play style, very good, very direct winger. But again, he plays on the right side more. Would be a lot of conflict with Saka and Nwaneri. And even if we put him on the left, I don't know if it would be his strong side. Haven't seen him really play on the left that much. So I don't think it would be the best move. I think it would be a Mahmoud, maybe adding a bit of depth to our wingers, but I don't think it would be the smartest for Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't think also it would happen because you have Saka.
Mm.
You have Saka on that right wing. He can play as a striker. Mbeumo, we've seen him playing as a striker when Ivan Toney was suspended, but I would put
Wasn't
him in
his best
hell now.
position
Yeah,
either,
yeah, because he's a great winger. His
For sure.
output is crazy. I would put him in man, but you have Bukayo Saka.
He
on
fits
the
very
team.
well at
Yeah, exactly. So hell no,
yeah.
hell no. I think. What about Martin Zubimendi?
Wow. Him, another player like Mikel Merino. When a lot of people saw that Arsenal wanted to sign Mikel Merino, they were like, no, don't bring in a guy like that. But Mikel Merino proved everybody wrong, playing six and now striker. What a
Wow.
player. Zubimendi has that same talent, I find. I love the way he plays at six. Very good ball distributor, very good ball recovery, all that. But I think Thomas Partey is better. I think
Thomas
Thomas Partey is the guy for us to sign at Arsenal again.
That's a player I don't understand why Arsenal hasn't extended his contract because his contract is running up until this June.
I heard it's in talks a bit. I heard
Yeah.
they're close to signing a new one for Thomas Partey, especially after his last couple performances this season. I find he's been doing very, very well.
But I think it would be a smart move to have a midfielder like Zubimendi because he brings in something different. He brings in something quite similar to Jorginho.
Yeah.
But Jorginho is leaving. He's past his prime. I think if you can buy Zubimendi, especially that he's interested to joining Arsenal because we know last summer he refused to join Liverpool. And it was also a blessing for Liverpool because when Gravenberch became a top player.
Mm.
But for me, I think Arsenal, if they have a profile like this in midfield, a good move, especially at the age of Thomas Partey, and we know he's like 31.
Yeah,
So for me, it would be a smart move.
so too. I think so too.
To be Mendy. I also see. Oh, smart move. Okay, I also saw a rumor about Bruno Guimaraes.
I saw this too, and it's very interesting too. I find maybe not the exact same play style as Zubimendi, but I think they would fit the same role. I think they would bring that same type of intensity to the team, same type of kind of central area. Maybe Bruno Guimaraes a bit more offensive than Zubimendi, but I find in general it would be the same thing. So I think it would also be a smart move.
Yeah, I think it would even be a perfect signing that midfield, especially Bruno Guimaraes, because I think he's a better player than Thomas Partey. I think he could do what Partey does, but even better than what he does, because he's just one of the best Premier League midfielders.
Definitely.
He also brings in a leadership also, which I think is necessary in that team, especially now that Odegaard is not playing well. Maybe with a player like Bruno Guimaraes, you can give Declan Rice like more offensive, a more offensive role. You can you can let him like do like the offensive part of
Add
the
a lot of
work.
versatility into the team.
Exactly.
And like you said, that the leadership role, that's very true. At Arsenal, we don't really have a clear leader at our team.
Exactly. And depending on the price, for me, would be a perfect signing depending on the price. If I think he has a release clause around 80 million, if I'm not wrong. But if it's something like 120, you don't need to spend
That's true.
120.
But it's true that with a price tag of 70, 80 million,
Yeah.
would be close to a perfect signing. I think it
Yeah.
even could be a perfect
It
signing.
would be like a Declan Rice move from West Ham to Arsenal.
Yeah.
You saw how
Yeah.
was great. For me, I'll put Bruno Guimaraes in a perfect signing because he's Zubimendi, but a better
person.
player. What about Joan Garcia?
Joan Garcia, who is that?
He's Real Español goalkeeper. He's been one of the
Oh,
best
yes,
goalkeepers in La Liga this season, and he's been heavily linked to Arsenal.
Yeah, it's true. I forgot about it. I don't watch him that much. I don't watch the
Mhm.
La Liga that much if it's not Barca, Real Madrid, Atletico, and obviously the top teams. But I did see that he was linked, and I find it's interesting to get another keeper, especially that after Raya, there's nobody really like semi good at Arsenal. Like I don't really know who our backup keeper is really. Would he do that well of a job? So I think bringing in a guy like this could be quite good for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think also Raya would be better if he has someone to push him also.
That's true.
And there is also a still part in me that is not convinced about Raya. I think he still has to confirm, if he's a top player like on the long term. And I think having, maybe a backup goalkeeper who's really good, who's showed promise. I think that's a sign also of a top team. Top teams have
Yeah,
two goalkeepers
sure.
who are in
We
competition.
kind of saw this with Ramsdale too. When we had
Yeah.
Ramsdale, he looked very good at first. That initial Arsenal team was amazing, but then bringing in a guy like Raya kind of pushed Ramsdale and maybe showed his weaknesses a bit more with that pressure.
Exactly.
And then we saw that Raya took his spot after.
Exactly. So for a fee around 20, 25 million, for me, that would be a smart
I
move.
think it's
for
a
me.
very smart move.
What about Nico Williams?
Wow, one of the players I love. I love these wingers that are so fun to watch,
Yeah.
so interesting, so young too. Him and Lamine Yamal at the Euros was a mental combo. I did see him kind of lose a bit of consistency
Yeah.
in the Liga. He hasn't been creating that much output, but I do think it's because of the system he's in, the team he's in. Maybe it's not really bringing out the best qualities in him, and I think bringing him on the left wing could be a perfect signing.
For me, it would be an upgrade over Martinelli. What do you think?
I still have some faith for Martinelli. I see him kind of playing well here and there, but it is true. I do think that he could be an upgrade. We do lack a bit of strength in that left wing side.
And I think apart from Trossard, who's open also play as a striker, by the way, I don't think you have really competition to Martinelli. We've seen also Martinelli having some big injuries too. So I think a player like Nico Williams for the right price, for me, that would be a perfect signing.
I think so too.
I think in terms of potential, also potential-wise,
That's a very good point.
his potential is really like up top. So Nico Williams will be a perfect signing. So the next player is Victor Gyökeres.
Wow, my guy, for real. Honestly, ever since the Isaac signings have been coming more and more unrealistic, Gyökeres is the second man right under him. With the stats he's been putting off in Sporting, I just find he's another perfect signing. He is a striker that we need to win the Premier League, to win the Champions League. He's someone that will come to the team and just shock the whole world, shock the Premier League for sure.
Does he make you think about Darwin Nunez? Because we've seen Darwin Nunez have the same similar output in the Portuguese league.
Yeah,
Aren't you like
that's true. Like I said, when these players show so much talent but then aren't really Premier League proven, then they come, it always adds that little fear factor. Are they going to be that good? Still going to put the same output? So there is a little bit of fear, but I completely trust this guy.
but and I've seen also heavy links because of the new sporting director. His priority is Victor Gyökeres. But for me, it would be a perfect signing, especially for the fee around 60 million I've seen.
Yeah.
That would be
It's way too
you,
cheap for a guy
you
like
can't find that better striker at that price, honestly,
Ronaldo.
and it would be worth honestly the gamble.
And he has the potential to come to Arsenal and be one of these long-term strikers that could just win so many trophies for us.
Would you love his celebration at
I would love it
London?
at the
Yeah,
Emirates.
the
Him
Emirates, yeah.
plus Gabriel,
Yeah.
they would have so much good. It's good rivalry in the
Yeah.
team.
So no, for me, Victor Gyökeres would be a perfect signing. What about Victor Osimhen, the last striker we have on the list?
Wow, I used to love him. Honestly, I would watch him play. I loved watching him play. He was so interesting, so strong on the ball. When he would get by defenders, it's just his strength plus his speed and his technical ability. Everything looked so good. But then he moves to Galatasaray. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand.
I think for me, he will go to Saudi, especially for the wage he's asking for. No one will pay the money that Saudi is offering him, and I think if he has those kind of contracts on the table, I think it would be fair to convince him. But I think again, for the right price, he'll fit in this Arsenal
He would,
team.
for sure. Like, we do lack a proper striker, and like he's proven in the past, he is very good. And I think he could bring out that side of him coming to Arsenal. But I feel like you said he's more towards maybe the money now. He doesn't really. Maybe he could want to come back, but I feel like once you transfer to teams like this, you kind of lose a bit of intensity. You lose the lack of the hunger, like a guy like Gyökeres would have to
Mhm.
come to the Premier League. So I feel like it's definitely not the perfect signing. I think he would rather go to Saudi, go to United, something like that. You know, who would pay him a lot. Maybe even Chelsea. Who
Yeah.
knows? But yeah, I don't think it would be perfect.
So I will put him in May signing, yeah, because we know that anyone literally who's a striker would be a good move for this Arsenal team.
For sure.
But Osimhen, he's been playing for the last season in Galatasaray in the Turkish league. We don't. We're not saying that the Turkish league is not good, but I think
It's not the Premier League.
it's
Yeah.
not the Premier League. Yeah. So, what do you think about the tourist? Would you move a player? Is there a player that you would like to move?
The tiers looks great to me, honestly. I find it would be it's very good. I find we very well described every player, put them in the right spot. I wouldn't change anything.
How much would you rate this summer transfer window if you signed Isaac, Bruno Guimaraes, Nico Williams, and or Victor Gyökeres?
Wow.
Obviously, have to be
Yeah,
one of the
100%
Swedish
for
strikers,
sure.
but
Signing three players like that would be the most 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 summer transfer for Arsenal. Guaranteed Premier League, guaranteed Champions League next year for sure.
you think it will be finally the season you win the Premier League?
100%, 100%.
Perfect. Guys, so what do you think? Tell us what you think in the comments, and we'll be back for next videos. Let us know if this kind of videos you like them, and we'll be back for the next video. So, Kamil, will you be back?
I will be. Thank you guys.
Ciao.